everyone. This is John Contreras, and you are listening to my broadcast, Greek News on Demand. Greek News on Demand, which is based off of my news website, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. That is one word, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. As I always state, this show is basically a show done in English, of course, on the best news items of the day concerning Greece, its political climate, its latest political developments, and of course, much, much more. For example, its history, the richness of of the Greek culture, of the Greek language, and so on and so forth. So basically, we got a lot of news going on right now in Greece. I'm going to cover a little bit about that, but I really do need to make a show on the latest developments between, of course, the Obama administration and Russia, because things are starting to now come to a head, and you have all these people in the 9/11 truth movement, the patriot movements, that are really being sold a bill of goods when it comes to this false standoff. Because remember, we're dealing with basically a second Cold War, basically. And we all know, those that have studied up on the first Cold War between the United States and Russia, it was nothing more than just that, a Cold War. And nothing resulted from it. We never intended to attack Russia. So I'm going to get into that and use that basically as basically a means by which to discern what's going on now. Because my point is, both sides work for the same Illuminati puppet masters. They both are pushing for a new world order. One of the so-called patriot leaders out there that's, misleading the masses out there in the 9/11 truth movement is none other than Alex Jones. Because Alex Jones, of course, has been supporting Trump for the past year or so, which to me is very, very strange, very odd. But he's doing a live feed on Facebook right now about this whole issue, so we're going to tune into that right now and see what he has to say about this.
Direct link to it. I mean, he did that, not us. Our job's not that hard. These are bad people. And now they've sided with Islam to start a damn worldwide war, and they're admitting they're starting a war to try to destabilize Europe and America while putting Islamic sleeper cells in all our country. This is just an outrageous time to be alive. It's an epic time to be alive. But we have to realize that InfoWars and Drudge and others are the tip of the spear. And so we represent you. And look, I'm not here begging for your help and support because I even care about myself. I passed that Rubicon a long time ago. There could be guys coming, to round me up and kill me, and I'd be ice water in my veins. My concern is about them winning against all of us. I see myself as you. I live on through you and your children being successful. I'm about the big game. You understand that? I really am. I'm so collectivist that I'm an individual. I believe in individuals, but I'm collective.
He says he's for the big game. Notice that phrase.
Control over humanity. I am tied into everybody. I'm going to live forever, no matter what happens. My energy, what I've done, what our crew has done, goes on forever, as long as the species survives. So I don't sit here and bitch about this like, oh, help me, oh, God, Soros is attacking, we're having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend against this. That is a good sign that we're engaging the enemy. I'm not personally bitching. The fact that Drudge is being attacked by the globalists is a great honor. It's that you need to know the time we're in.
The breaking news is Drudge Reports website is being hacked by the government.
For granted. You have to understand there's a war happening to try to stop people who aren't awake like you are from getting the info. They've done the metrics. They've done the actuaries. They've done the number crunching. We're winning. With their AI computers, they admit they can already see into the future through mass movement. They already have seen that we won. So let's use a cheesy Hollywood analogy like I do. The Terminators already know they lost. They've sent shit back in time to beat us. You understand that? We already blew them wide open. You already won. Every vote from England to Ireland to Italy to the Netherlands to Reykjavik and Greenland, Iceland, Everybody's pulling out of the New World Order. You mean there's a corporate world government above the law? Forget them. We already won. But we're in the present. They can see forward with their political actuaries. All the big think tanks are coming out and saying, if we have a trade war with China, we'll win. Trump can easily, with a few tax deals, make us the dominant power again. Of course. We're America. In the present, the globalist, Bloomberg, who's the top technician that has terminals all over the world feeding and controlling what happens with the currencies, Bloomberg admits they know they've already lost. Soros penned an article today saying they've already lost unless they blow everything up. You understand? We're in the present. They can see.
Notice how he mentions George Soros and how George Soros is supposedly against Donald Trump, which is utter BS. Donald Trump has taken financing from George Soros in the past to build Trump Tower, for example, in Chicago. Donald Trump just hired on Steve Mnuchin as his Treasury Secretary, a former Goldman Sachs associate and executive, and a present, a still ongoing associate of George Soros. So give me a break.
Freeing China, space race, humanity coming together.
So basically, this guy is basically ranting on much to do about nothing, really, is what he's doing. So there's a lot to cover today. Basically what Alex Jones was talking about is, how the globalists, whoever the hell these people are, who are controlling our government, and at the top is George Soros, they're basically attacking Donald Trump, and they're attacking all the patriots that have supported him. And basically, they're going crazy on this whole issue with regarding quote-unquote fake news. So basically the government now is taking measures in order to crack down on fake news sites. So I'm reading from a Infowars.com article right now with the title, Breaking Drudge Report Under Biggest DDoS Attack Since Its Inception. Media icon questions whether U.S. government is to blame. Media pioneer Matt Drudge states on Twitter Thursday that the Drudge Report was under the biggest DDoS attack since the site's inception. So he tweets, is the U.S. government attacking Drudge Report? Biggest DDoS site since inception, very suspicious routing. In his tweet, Drudge questions whether the attack, which overwhelms a website's servers with traffic in an attempt to take it online, originated from the U.S. government. He says, quote, he tweets, is the U.S. government attacking Drudge Report? Biggest DDoS since the site's inception, very suspicious routing and timing. The attack came only hours after the White House announced retaliatory measures against the Russian government, which included expelling 35 Russian intelligence operatives from the country for U.S. election-related hacking. The Drudge Report came under attack only moments after numerous reports alleged Russian state-run news network RT became unavailable on television in parts of the U.S., fueling speculation that the disruption was linked to the Obama administration's earlier announcement. Now, we have basically a gentleman by the name of Michael Phelan tweeting saying numerous reports of Russian state-run network RT being unavailable. Drudge Report also under the biggest DDoS attack since site's inception. No evidence at this time points to covert action or technical error in regards to RT. Infowars documented an hour prior that the Drudge Report had indeed gone down. As noted by Infowars reporter Owen Schroyer, Infowars was also under a large-scale DDoS attack last week. So I'm going to play for you a quick minute-and-a-half long YouTube clip from one of the Infowars reporters who just reported moments ago. And right now, I should mention, it's December the 29th, 2016. The time here in LA is 7:32 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is what he just put up on YouTube.
Well, folks, Owen Schroyer here for Infowars.com, and about to take off for the night. Thought I'd check Drudge one last time before I went home, and this is all I get. DrudgeReport.com can't be reached. So I went to see if the site was indeed down, and indeed, Drudge Report is down. I checked with multiple people here at the office. Drudge Report is not working. Now, I've had issues with the Drudge Report not working before, where it takes really long to load or won't load, but I've never received this message in all of the hundreds, if not thousands of times I've gone to Drudge Report. Now, I'm seeing rumors that DrudgeReport.com is under a DDoS attack right now. I don't have any proof or evidence of that. But Infowars.com fell under a massive DDoS attack, almost unprecedented levels, not too long ago. And now, Drudge Report is down and can't be accessed. So I don't know what this is about. It's been this way for a few minutes now. I wanted to file this video report. Is Drudge Report under attack? Is this some other technical difficulty? Is this really nothing? I don't know. But Infowars.com fell under a massive DDoS attack. We know Matt Drudge came on the Alex Jones Show and said they're trying to shut us down. So they've already done their beta testing with the DDoS attacks on Infowars.com. I wonder if Matt Drudge is experiencing the same thing. So we're going to stay tuned here to the DrudgeReport.com, see if we can't get it to load here anytime soon. But DrudgeReport.com is down.
Okay, and as I was commenting earlier, Alex Jones in his live Facebook broadcast, which is still going on at this point, was just ranting and raving about how basically Obama is continuing to accuse Donald Trump and his new administration of being collaboration with the Russians, and how the Russians basically were behind the U.S. elections, that somehow they manipulated them in order to put Trump in and to make sure that Hillary didn't get in. Okay? So this whole stupid false narrative is continuing to go on, and it's been going on for several months at least now. Because if you remember, it was back in September when Obama started mentioning all this nonsensical conspiracy garbage, conspiracy theories, basically, that the Russians are behind putting Trump in office and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean... And they accuse people like us of being conspiracy theorists, or, as I was saying before, of disseminating quote-unquote fake news. So, what Alex Jones is doing is helping to continue this fake narrative. He's just playing the other side of the narrative. Now, we just heard Owen Schroyer from Infowars.com say that the Drudge Report site was down. Now, at this very moment, it's 7:37 p.m. here in Los Angeles. Again, it's December the 29th. And I am trying to load DrudgeReport.com, okay? I've tried several times. I'm refreshing my browser, and I can't open it either. The Drudge Report really is down right now. I still see my loading bar. I've tried to load it several times. It's not loading. So, apparently, Alex Jones is right in this regard. Drudge Report is down. It's not working right now. Okay? So, basically, he's now starting to rant and rave here live on Facebook that World War III has begun. And I'm playing you this clown's broadcast here on Facebook just to show you what role he plays in all of this. So let's listen to it again, because he's doing just now a brand new video live on Facebook. So you're listening to this live while he talks.
Child molestation, legal. This is what they did. And now, I sit here with family on both sides of the Mayflower and family in every major war and founders of Texas. And I sit here and hear on the news I'm a Russian agent because I don't want to turn my guns in, or I want Trump to be president and cut our taxes. Meanwhile, I watched Saudi Arabia, and I watched Communist China, and all these foreign governments involved in our elections telling us we couldn't have Trump and bragging how much money they gave Hillary. And then America repudiates this ugly witch who's having seizures on TV, just like we repudiated Jeb Bush. And it's not our decision that repudiated her. It's because we're under Russian mind control. Oh no, I'm under Martian control. This is the crazy, whacked out crap we deal with. Russia can barely keep itself afloat. Russia is twice the size of the U.S. conservatively, has the GDP of Italy, and a population 3 times its size. It's a basket case. Communist China, on the other hand, has 400 million people almost, and is buying up all of Hollywood, has 98% of rare earth minerals, the Panama Canal, all the major deep water ports, is openly enslaved its own people. Won't even pay for public toilets. Everybody craps on the street, basically. 95% of the public. And they're going to land humans on the dark side of the moon, they're saying, within 5 years. Totally committed to domination and combining forces with the globalists, the big banks, to dominate the rest of the globe using cheap Chinese labor. And then I get to be told I'm a Russian agent.
So, as you hear him speak here, he keeps touting this whole, they're accusing me of being a Russian agent line. Okay? So basically, this is something that we should basically all be aware of. And that is, all the top conservative sites are now playing basically the other side of this narrative. On the one hand, you have Obama accusing basically Trump and Russia of rigging elections, basically. On the other hand, you have basically the conservative media, which is pretty much being led by Breitbart, Drudge Report, Alex Jones, and those types, saying, no, this is not true. And that basically Obama's making this all up, and he wants to stay in as a dictator, and this and that and everything else. And he wants to thwart basically Trump's election win. He wants to annul it. He wants to put Hillary in, or he wants to himself stand for a third term, in other words. So, my job here, my goal here, is to point out the fact that this is all BS. This is all one big, huge show being put on before our eyes. Because, number one, all of these sides know damn well what's being basically played out here, and that is that everyone is working toward a new world order. Everyone is playing basically their role in this whole drama being played before our eyes, which is pushing for a new world order. Whether people realize this or not. This is nothing more than Jewish philosophical, communistic ideas being played out here in drama. This is what you call the Hegelian dialectic. Hegel, who was a contemporary of basically Marx, he made up the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution, or a thesis plus an antithesis equals a synthesis. So you have basically two warring sides, okay, Democrats, let's say, for example, Republicans, but in the end of the day, they basically decide to have a truce, let's say, in their political battle, and they decide to kiss and make up and have sort of like an agreement to, they agree to disagree on issues. So they compromise their positions, okay? Which, number one, tells you that they're both fake all along. Because if either side was really staunch in its position, then they wouldn't waver on their position at all. But this is what you have in politics. Gee, why is that? Why do Democrats give in on issues and agree with Republicans? And why do Republicans give in on political issues and start agreeing with Democrats? We've seen this time and time again in recent decades. We saw this, of course, with Bill Clinton, especially. He rode the political spectrum, but we saw it with Bush. We see it with Obama, and so on and so forth. We see it with senators and representatives in Washington. That's because they're all playing basically their roles in this Hegelian dialectic. They're components in this Hegelian dialectical formula. And they're going to forge, like I said, their pseudo-synthesis, which basically, it forges basically a form of progression to move things forward in society. Okay? Because this is how the Illuminati work. This is how they work. They work with chaos. They work with disorder. They work with disagreement. They work with racial tensions. They work with political standoffs. They work with all these riots that have been going on, that went on during the elections, where you had two different, you have supporters and voters from both different sides going head to head and squaring off in political rallies and beating up on each other. Okay? This is exactly what the Illuminati wants, because this is how they push forward their progression. So instead of people, my point is, recognizing that basically both Russia and the United States, now we're going to a more macro level of things, that both Russia and the United States are basically, working for the same Illuminati masters. In other words, they're both working for a New World Order, and they're putting on a show before our eyes. What's happening? Well, you have people like Alex Jones fans who think that they're hip and awake to the New World Order, who think they know what's going on. Well, you have them falling into this whole trap again, over and over again, in other words, by continuing to listen to what Alex Jones tells them. And, of course, Alex Jones for years has said that the whole political system is corrupt, the whole government is corrupt, the government is run by the bankers from London, that the United States government is not a real government, it's a private corporation of the big bankers from the Crown of London headed by the Rothschilds, that both the Democrats and the Republicans are bought and paid for, okay? That they're both corrupt and that he doesn't support them, right? That the elections are rigged and this and that. We've been hearing him say this for years, okay? For years. So how is it that all of a sudden, in the past year or so, he changes his tune? And he's like 100% for Donald Trump. Donald Trump. When was anyone ever really a big fan of Donald Trump? Think about this now. Just because this guy decides to all of a sudden run for president and put on basically his conservative thinking cap, his conservative, let's say, facade, that all of a sudden he's a fit political candidate and that we conservatives should vote for him? Really, I mean, how long did people really follow Donald Trump in his life? All they did was see him in reality shows in recent years, and they've just known him to be a rich snob who is not really rich at all, but has received bailouts from the government over the years. We've known this about him. Okay? We've known this. This is a fact. How is it, though, that all these so-called anti-New World Order patriots fell into this trap to support this guy? And, of course, are continuing to fall into this trap and be brainwashed by listening to deceivers like Alex Jones, who knows damn well, like I said, that the whole political system is corrupt, because he's been saying it for years. But like I said, in the past year, he has been saying, well, because Trump's running, then, we're going to have a chance to take back America and to make America great again, quote unquote. Does anyone Trump supporter out there know where Trump basically got that saying from? Make America great again? I have word for you. I have news for you. Trump borrowed that from his best friend, Bill Clinton. Okay? The Clintons, number one, have been friends for years. That's a fact. So don't give me this BS that Trump now hates Hillary Clinton because he ran against her. That's just stupid. Best friends in, that have been in cahoots for years, they don't just go against each other overnight. Okay? Donald Trump took that phrase, make America great again, from the Clintons. Bill Clinton made that up during his first presidential campaign in the 90s. And then Hillary Clinton used that in 2008. So now Trump himself is using it. Are people stupid here? Do they really see what's going on? Honestly. Do people not see what's going on with Alex Jones? The guy for years has said that the Democrats and the Republicans are corrupt. He doesn't support any side, and he was always touting the independent candidate or the 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 candidate like the Ron Paul type of a candidate and libertarian candidate. And, for years he was behind Ron Paul, and everyone was behind Ron Paul in the 9/11 Truth Movement for the most part. And they all thought that he was going to, make a good run for the president back in 2008, and, basically that he was going to do something about corruption in Washington and this and that and blah, 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 and he was going to end the Fed. When in reality, Ron Paul is a major deceiver too. First of all, he and his family are all high-level Freemasons. His father was a 32-degree Mason in the Congress for years, okay? We've seen the photos of him doing the Freemasonic handshakes openly in public with other politicians, with celebrities, and things of that sort. So, this whole BS about him ending the Fed was nothing more than BS, because what he didn't tell people is that his bill to end the Fed had been swallowed up into another bill by some prominent Jewish senator, whose name I can't remember right now, who basically, in effect, nullified Ron Paul's End the Fed bill with his bill, which was nothing more than to basically keep supporting the Federal Reserve, okay? And to allow it to continue to do what it's doing. I mean, my goodness. See, this is the problem with America. We've done away with individuality, and we've depended on our saviors to save us, like the state, or politicians, or media personalities, or, patriot leaders like Alex Jones, and things of that sort. We have become lazy, fat, complacent. We don't do our homework anymore, and we have fallen into major lethargy and deception. Think about this. Alex Jones was saying, don't support the Democrats and the Republicans for years. And all of a sudden, he's supporting the Republican candidate, Donald Trump. Does this make sense to anyone? My hunch is that Alex Jones, okay, this is just my hunch, did this because it's benefiting his website, it's benefiting his business, and somehow Trump's going to repay him, or maybe is already paying him, for promoting him through Infowars.com, through his radio and TV program, etc., etc. That's just my guess. Now, I could be wrong. I could be making this all up, and I could be slandering him by even basically mentioning this. But I have a right to tout my opinion, to express basically my point of views. And from what it seems, this is basically the reason why Alex Jones has been supporting Donald Trump, because Trump is apparently doing something for him. Otherwise, why would Alex Jones all of a sudden now say, well, we can support the Republican candidate because, he's a good guy, it's Trump, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Are people really thinking this through here? Do they not see this guy basically doing a 180-degree turn on his views about the Democrats and the Republicans? I mean, just think about this for a moment, okay? How do you, for years, go from speaking against both political parties to all of a sudden supporting Trump in his candidacy? That in itself is very suspicious, because only people who benefit from such things decide to become turncoats, decide to betray basically their movement, their followers or listeners. But unfortunately, there are tons of people out there, thousands of dupes out there, who are not thinking through any of this stuff, are not questioning anything, and they're taking everything that Alex Jones says, hook, line, and sinker, about Donald Trump. My God, I mean, I have talked to people, very good friends, okay, in recent months about Donald Trump, people that are anti-New World Order, they know what's going on, and they cannot see what's going on here with Donald Trump. They too have fallen into this trap thinking, oh no, things will be different with Trump. He's against the establishment. He's anti-New World Order. George Soros hates him. George Soros hates him. Really? When it's really George Soros who's behind Donald Trump. Yes, you heard that correctly. Think about this, folks. Donald Trump just hired on Steve Mnuchin, a George Soros associate, to run the Treasury Department. Do you see what's going on here? And I was predicting this for like a month or more before the actual thing took place, the actual nomination of Steve Mnuchin took place. I was predicting this. I was writing about it in my blog, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. I went on Greek TV several times and stated this. And, of course, there are still a lot of people out there who can't see what's going on, but my work, my writings have been totally 100% vindicated, because it's not because I'm a prophet, quote unquote. It's because I'm using common sense and I'm being honest with myself. And I'm not falling into this trap where, oh, because it's Trump, things are different. Because he's against the New World Order, things are going to be different. Really, all Trump has just said is a few general terms against the establishment. He said things like, well, the system's rigged. There's corruption in Washington. All these general terms. He has not straight out come out and said he's going to do away with the New World Order. Are people retarded? Honestly. Okay? Are people crazy? And I don't use that term retarded in a depreciatory manner, especially in view of actual retarded people. I'm just saying, are people really seeing what's going on here? Did people see what took place when Donald Trump went to that roast with Hillary Clinton a couple months ago at the Jesuits gala there in Washington? Think about this, folks. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton went to a Jesuit gala in Washington, and they chummed it up, and they laughed at each other, and they were acting like they weren't even political opponents, like they were brother and sister. Well, I have news for you. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are actually distant cousins. There are several top genealogical websites that have proved this. They're distant cousins, and they go back to King Edward III from London. They're blue bloods. Hello? So at this gala, basically, they're chumming it up. Henry Kissinger's there. What is a Jew like Henry Kissinger doing at a Catholic Jesuit gala? Well, that's because the Jews for years were Jesuits. The Jesuits were crypto-Jews, and they ran the finances of the Catholic Church, dating back from the 1500s with Ignatius Loyola and on. Honestly, I mean, do people really study up on the truth anymore? Do 9/11 truthers really care about the truth, or are they there to just have someone basically tickle their ears and lead them because they're too lazy to study the truth for themselves? Okay, this is what I'm getting at here. Okay, so anyway, before I go on, if you type in Google right now, Steve Mnuchin, spelled M-N as in Nancy, U-C-H-I-N, and Donald Trump, you're going to see tons of articles now basically about Donald Trump and Steve Mnuchin. For example, here in the Wrap, there's an article, Steve Mnuchin, 5 things to know about, quote-unquote, Suicide Squad producer and future Treasury Secretary. Number 1, Trump and Mnuchin have had a tumultuous past. Mnuchin worked at Goldman Sachs for 17 years, leaving in late 2002 at age 39 with a reported $46 million stake in the bank, according to Wall Street Journal. He then accepted a job with the business magnate George Soros, one of Hillary Clinton's biggest donors. He's currently chairman and CEO of Dune Capital Management, a private investment firm. Okay? According to the New York Times, Mr. Trump has attacked both Mr. Mnuchin's investment companies, suing it in 2008 over a building deal, as well as Goldman Sachs, the Democratic Party, and other institutions Mr. Mnuchin has supported. Listen to this now. So he's an obvious choice to be Trump's financial point man. Do you see what's going on here? Steve Mnuchin, of course, has supported Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump hired on Steve Mnuchin. So, do the math. Put 2 and 2 together and do the necessary math here. Logical math. Number 2 point, Relativity Media doesn't like his bank very much. In October 2014, Relativity Media announced that Mnuchin would be joining founder Ryan Kavanaugh as co-chairman of the company's board, but according to the New York Post, the once cozy relationship between Relativity Media and backer One West Bank turned hostile after the California lender swept up nearly $50 million from the studio, leading it to bankruptcy, and then hit up the studio's international distributors for even more money. The Post cited a letter in an email obtained by the paper that said Relativity explicitly blamed the bank, founded by Mnuchin, quote, for violating bankruptcy procedures and for delaying the release of a movie recently considered to be the studio saver, end quote. Third point, but Mnuchin used to like Hillary Clinton well enough. He's given money to Hillary Clinton. Fourth point, that time he was accused of throwing old people and minorities out on the street. In December 2008, Mnuchin took advantage of the economic crisis by buying out IndyBank, a collapsed Pasadena lender. I'm sure he's probably referring to Pasadena, California, where I live. He and a group of investors got it for pennies on the dollar, changed its name to One West, and went on to rake in billions of dollars by foreclosing on homes, the New Republic said. Okay, fifth point, real quick, making off with Madoff millions. Mnuchin grew up in one of the wealthiest families in New York City. His father, Robert Mnuchin, worked for Goldman Sachs for 30 years before opening a posh art gallery that sold Kandinsky's and de Kooning's. But that didn't stop his son from pocketing $3.2 million from Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme investors. According to Bloomberg, Mnuchin Jr. withdrew the cash from his mother's account right before the scheme blew up. It was money that was essentially stolen from Madoff's investors, who lost everything. Madoff's victims sued Mnuchin in an attempt to recoup some of their savings, but the suit was dropped because of time restrictions. Are you people listening to this? This is one of hundreds of cases that there was a decision on. Mnuchin told Bloomberg. Also, there is nothing special about the case, Mnuchin says. I mean, my God. Like I said, there's just this whole BS game going on before our eyes. Donald Trump is just corrupt, probably even more corrupt from what I've been reading and researching than the Clintons themselves. Okay? Honestly. This whole charade about being against the system, what does that even mean? Trump has just hired on the system to fill his cabinet. All establishment people, people from Goldman Sachs, people from multinational companies. Are people stupid? Do they not really study about what's going on? Do they really believe what politicians tell them? Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, they do. And that's why they need to have somebody like me and other awake people out there, unfortunately, to come and slap them upside the head and say, hey, wake up. You're being, having the wool being pulled over your eyes. You're swallowing things hook, line, and sinkers. You're not standing up for yourself. You're allowing other people to form your own opinions. You listen to these demagogues on TV, and all they do is spout a bunch of lies and promises, and they, of course, never come through on their promises. This is what Trump has done throughout the campaign, and this is what he's continuing to do. So, and this whole BS game, too, about, the United States government now being in a cyber war with Russia, and how this could lead to World War III, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. Yes, there is this, apparent sort of second Cold War going on between the United States and Russia. Okay, we see it. Okay? But let me remind you that, again, this is all nothing more than the Hegelian dialectic being played out. Okay? You have the East and the West basically at odds with each other. Things are getting heated up. You have United States troops basically and NATO troops on Russia's borders. You have Russia doing military exercises in that area of the world. You have sharp rhetoric coming from Putin and from Obama. You have all this talk about war. We just heard recently, a couple months ago, the top U.S. general saying, well, if our enemies just, decide to attack America, America will destroy them, and blah, 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 referring, of course, implicitly to Russia. I think he actually named Russia by name. I'm trying to remember his name. I don't remember his name. He's one of the top U.S. generals out there in the U.S. Army. So this is just insanity. This is definitely the Second World War. Now, in order for you to really understand what's going on, you need to understand how the First World War worked. And until you understand how that worked, you won't understand what's going on now. Now, I'm helping you cut to the chase by saying it's all a big game. Yes, Putin and Obama are playing one big game before our eyes, okay? You have media out there that supports Obama, okay? And they are against Russia. They are against patriotic sites like Alex Jones and Matt Drudge and whatever, Breitbart, who, of course, support Trump. And, they sort of support Russia, too. And, of course, the government is saying, and the liberal media is saying, that these media people are basically supporting Russia, which is basically treason. This is what they're getting at now. And the government is going on this campaign at the same time, in conjunction with the media, to try to label basically all these alternative sites as fake news. Now, you can't label Matt Drudge, the Drudge Report, as fake news. Matt Drudge has had the #1 news site in the world since 1995, so that's kind of stupid. All the media, the big media news sites out there, including CNN and Fox and all of them, ABC News, CBS, they wouldn't be getting all the hits that they've been getting over the years if it wasn't for Matt Drudge. Matt Drudge helped them because he promotes them through his website. He's the guy who created all this link to the other websites business. So that's kind of stupid. Okay? So basically, now, the government now is trying to label basically anyone who doesn't go along with the mainstream news media line of propaganda against Russia. They're trying to label them as fake news and trying to shut them down. And right now the government, of course, is attacking their websites. Like I said, Drudge Report has been down. I just attempted to try to log on to it. You could not get onto drudgereport.com. I'm trying again. Right now as I speak, it's still not loading. Okay? Actually, no, it just loaded right now. Okay, it just loaded right now. And basically the headline here reads, Moscow mocks Obama. This is from the top news source, The Independent, which is a pretty decent newspaper, theindependent.co.uk. And it says, Russian embassy in the UK responds to sanctions with lame duck tweet. President Obama expels 35 diplomats in Cold War deja vu, as everybody, including people, will be glad to see the last of this hapless administration. What I just read was a tweet from the Russian embassy in the UK. So the article itself reads, the Russian response to Barack Obama's announcement that he was expelling 35 diplomats over the alleged cyber attacks on the U.S. election was fast and in some cases rather amusing. As officials in Moscow said that the U.S. diplomats would be ordered to leave in a tit-for-tat response, the Russian embassy used Twitter to make its point with little panache. Quote, President Obama expels 35 diplomats in Cold War deja vu. Everybody, including the American people, will be glad to see the last of this hapless administration, end quote, it said. Mr. Obama on Thursday sanctioned Russian intelligence services and their top officials, kicked out 35 Russian officials, and closed down 2 Russian-owned compounds in the United States. It was the strongest action the Obama administration had taken to date in retaliation for a cyber attack. Quote, all Americans should be alarmed by Russia's actions, end quote, he said. He added, quote, such activities have consequences, end quote. Okay? So, this is just now on The Independent. Okay? Russian embassy in UK tweets to sanctions with lame duck tweet. In other words, they're saying, Obama's a lame duck president. Now, why is it that Obama now has really gone on the warpath, so to speak, in the past month or so against Russia? Doesn't this tell you something? He's a lame duck president. He's going to be out of office basically in, 20 days now or so? And 20 days, it's like, this doesn't make sense. What is he going to do now in 20 days? He's going to start war with Russia? What, in the next week or so? Next couple of weeks? That doesn't make sense because Trump is going to get into office and Trump doesn't want to go to war with Russia. Okay? Now, this could mean several things. This could mean that, we're being told implicitly that Obama's going to stay in for a third term. In other words, something could take place where Obama could call martial law and say, I have to take over basically indefinitely, and, I'm going to have to call martial law, and Trump's election will be suspended. This has been something that's been discussed by patriotic news sites for months now. Bear in mind, too, that Obama has just now signed executive orders. Well, actually, what am I saying? He's actually signed executive orders for at least the past 4 years that have solidified basically his power pretty much as a dictator. And there are certain instances now where he can just basically call martial law whenever he wants to without Congress's agreement, without anything. All he has to do is just sign a document and boom, he's now a dictator. So I'm going to play a video for you where it says, alert, Obama signs new law targeting independent media websites for elimination under the National Defense Authorization Act. Listen in.
At this point, most of you have seen the meme of fake news used over and over again by the mainstream media. But what's happened here is very important. I talked about this in another video, talking about H.R. 5181. This is the Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act. What people need to know is that Obama signed this into law quietly, and they did so by tucking this into the NDAA for 2017. Now, they're saying that this is aimed toward countering foreign propaganda and disinformation, and they have worked with some off-the-wall type of websites that have listed several different outlets and websites themselves as being propaganda. Or basically what they're saying is these sites have been flagged for supporting Russia, Russian propaganda, and they're labeling it fake news. Now, if there was an asteroid or, say, a meteorite came in and exploded over top of Russia again, if you were to do a story on that, they're immediately going to say it's Russian propaganda. That's all they care about. That's how pathetic it is. Now, if you were to find a mainstream media article on talking about Russia and cover the exact same thing that they say in it, this site, Prop or Not, will come along and ding you and say you're pushing Russian propaganda. But hold on a second. If it's coming from one of your mainstream New York Times, Washington Post type of outlets, how come you're not saying that they're pushing Russian propaganda? They're not. So what they're doing is they're simply targeting people that are speaking the truth. And what they've done with this whole act is put independent media in the crosshairs. They are forming a group, a certain agency that is going to tackle this head on, they say. And what does this mean? This means the restriction of freedom of speech. This means that people like me and others out there that are just simply giving you the truth, they're going to say it's fake news because it doesn't align with the establishment. This is about as Gestapo as it gets. So others out there just not saying it. And I think it's really going to come down to where some of these websites are getting picked off and attacked one by one. Here recently I've seen this whole campaign now launched toward Mike Adams and Natural News. They're going after him hard. Forbes did a hit piece on him. And it shows that their mainstream outlets here are trying to zero in on the top tier alternative media outlets, independent media outlets, and slander them with everything they have. What's sad is if you look into some of these sites, some of them are thoroughly against Russia, like me. I don't stand for Russia, the Russian government, Putin, none of their communist crap whatsoever. I'm here telling you that this is a world stage and that these world leaders are working together behind the scenes and that it's a play on the minds of the people. But that's the last thing they want you to hear. That's why they label it fake news. And I'm here to tell you that from here on out, you better start flipping the rock over. Every time they say something's fake news, you better start digging a little bit deeper, because anytime they're attacking someone heavily, it shows they're trying to cover something up, and that person's been dishing out some information that they're not liking, and chances are it's the truth. So this is an all-out war on freedom of speech, folks, and I think some people are going to sit back and think it's just another piece of paper that Obama signed, but you're not getting it. They're going after the outlets, and I guess it's not going to be until some of these people are gone that people realize what's going on. And by then, if you let them come and pick off the top-tier cats with the largest voice, well, then any of those channels that was echoing the message of truth, they're gone. It's going to make it that much harder to get the truth out. Now, I'm not defending any and all these sites that they go after. Some of them I've never heard of. Some of them, no doubt, spewing fake news. But when they put legitimate people on there just because they don't align with the establishment views, it becomes a big problem. IntelliHub here also targeted, and others. Why? Once again, because they don't push the mainstream propaganda. That's the thing. But let it be known, Obama signed this into law. You can see right here, H.R. 5181. I've done another video on it, but I can't stress enough the importance that people realize what's happening here. Freedom of speech is under attack big time. There's more details here at this link. I'll leave it in the description box. This has been Dabu7. Peace.
Okay, that video was from Dabu7. That's spelled DAHBOO77. That's one word. DAHBOO77, which is one of the best patriotic YouTube channels out there, talking about this bill that Obama signed, where he can basically label you as fake news and just shut you down. Okay? This is insanity. Now, before I close, basically, I want to get into a little bit about basically what's going on here really behind the scenes. Both of these sides are pushing for a new world order, and that's precisely why they're at odds with each other. Because again, that's how the new world order works. Order out of chaos. Russia's playing its role, the United States is playing its role. Now, during the Cold War, what took place? We, of course, created the Cold War. Think about it. We created communist Russia. We financed Lenin and Trotsky in the beginning. That's all on record. That's all documented. We were allies with Stalin, the communist butcher, during World War II. So, World War II ends, but oddly enough, we decide to then go against Russia. And we hire on Winston Churchill to come here to the United States to give us the Iron Curtain speech, to tell us that there's a new boogeyman in the world, and it's, of course, communist Russia. And, of course, everyone knew at the time that we were the ones financing communist Russia. I mean, this is just garbage. Anyway, so there were some big senators like William Arthur Vandenberg in the Senate that pushed this whole myth, and they pushed Harry Truman to push this myth onto the American people. If you read Eustace Mullins' book, the $5 trillion war hoax, you'll get all the details. So George Kennan was the creator of the containment policy for Russia during the 50s. His uncle, George Kennan, who has the same name, helped to spread propaganda on behalf of Lenin and Trotsky in the 20s in Russia, to brainwash the Russian people into accepting communism. George Kennan created this. The guy who took over for him was none other than Henry Kissinger, the arch New World Order agent. Henry Kissinger then continued basically being the Cold War propagator of the government, and he was in cahoots too with the Rockefeller Foundation. And the Rockefeller Foundation was very much heavily involved in pushing and maintaining this myth before the eyes of the American people. That's Time Magazine, 1958. You can find that in Time Magazine from 1958. I believe it was in October of that year. So, Henry Kissinger today, ladies and gentlemen, he happens to be the liaison, the link now, the main diplomat between Putin and Donald Trump's new administration. Think about that for a second. So is Obama going to stay in? Is he going to create World War III? What's going to take place? Regardless, my point is, don't believe any of them. Don't go along with this myth. And certainly don't sell yourself out by taking sides, which is what crazies and sellouts like Alex Jones want you to do, because, of course, it benefits him and his website and his business. Be independent. Be a free thinker. Think outside this matrix. Don't take sides. That's the whole trap here that you're going to fall into. If you do, you're missing the whole point, because both sides are controlled by the New World Order. This is John Contreras with Greek News on Demand, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. Visit our website and go on the front page to the English articles section to read all of our articles in English. And I will talk to you again. God bless and good night.
JJ Inc. from Against the Wall.